says, you have to call me Dallas Slim, because he was from Dallas, and that was a nickname he had had years ago. So we called him Dallas Slim, and the audience played along. They knew it was Boz. And there's a columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle for years named Herb Cain, and he was kind of the gossip columnist. He loved Boz. So Monday morning I called him, Herb, your boy was down at the saloon, and I told him the whole story. Tuesday morning I get 2 sentences in his column. And Boz came down 4 or 5 times over the next couple of months. And I remember sitting there talking to him one night, and he said, you know what, Steve? I've been playing big stadiums and big arenas and everything, but you know what I really love most is being a blues singer in a saloon, which is what he was doing. So that was great. So every time he came down, Herb said, every time he comes down, give me a different angle and I'll write it up. And he did, and in fact, one time he mentioned me. So now I could call any venue in the Bay Area and say Chicago Blues Power, and they'd want to book the band thinking that Boz would show up at their venue, which he never did. But still, now I had the ear of many bookers, and club owners would return my calls, but I only had one band. So I started to build my roster from there, and it just kind of took off. 43 years later, I'm still doing it.
So it worked because the one kind of name recognition, people thought if you book bands, we'll get in the paper or whatever.
Yeah. But they thought that they were going to get Boz to come to their club. And no, he didn't do that. He did play with Chicago Blues Power at the 1991 San Francisco Blues Festival, which was really nice. Yeah. But it's just been a glorious ride, and I'm just so blessed that I had this influence in my life as a teenager, and I was able to befriend so many of these people and work with them as an adult.
I'm going to ask you 2 additional questions. They're based on music questions. What's your very first musical memory?
My very first, okay, I'll tell you that. The last day of 4th grade, the music teacher comes in and he says, 5th grade next year, kids, school orchestra, you can be in the orchestra. What instrument do you want to play? I didn't know. I just wasn't sure, but I knew I had a crush on Evelyn Brodkin. I was 10 years old or something, but I loved Evelyn. And she raised her hand for violin. Here's my chance. So I raised my hand for violin. 5th grade comes around, my parents buy me a violin, and I started rehearsing with the orchestra, and I played with the orchestra. Couldn't get anywhere with Evelyn because she was an awesome violinist. She was the first violinist. I was like a 5th violinist, so that didn't work. And we did a concert or 2 in 5th grade. 6th grade comes around, first day of school, the orchestra teacher calls me into his office. I says, he's kicking me out. So he says, Steve, we need a conductor. All right, this is good. I don't need to play music. I don't need to read notes. I don't need to stay in tune. And Evelyn's going to love this. So I conducted the orchestra, and I've actually got some photographs of myself conducting the Liberty School 64 Elementary School Orchestra. And we played, I remember the first concert we played, it was a gymnasium, and they set up chairs for the parents, and the room was full with parents, and they bring the lights down, and the orchestra comes out and sets up in front of the stage on the floor, and I'm in the wing of the stage, and the lights come down, and I walk across, and I stand up on the rostrum, and everybody starts to applaud. I'm going, this is awesome. I haven't done anything, and I'm getting all this love. So that was my first musical experience, and actually I was telling musicians what to do, and I've been doing that ever since.
Where do you think music comes from?
Music is one of the most unique things in the world. It's one of the few, if only, things that people, whether it's a couple or 400,000, can gather and have this common group experience that takes them away from all of the crap in their life. And it's particularly important now because the world is so crazy and we're so stressed out that we can go to a club or a concert somewhere and sit and listen to music for a couple of hours and forget about everything else except that. It really keeps us present. Music is medicine. There's things like movies and theater and sports that kind of have that community all focusing on one thing. But music is different because you don't need sight. You need to be able to hear, obviously. And you don't have to figure anything out or follow anything, you're just in the moment. It just allows us to be. So I don't know where music comes from, but I sure know where it takes us.
In this career you've had of seeing bands, do you have a favorite show you've seen? Or another way to ask that question is, what's the best show you've ever seen?
Probably, it was in a small town in the Midwest with Jefferson Starship, doing all the airplane tunes. And I remember standing on the wing of the stage and looking out to the audience. And there's a woman or a girl in the front row, and she's singing along to Don't You Want Somebody to Love? And a tear's rolling down her eye. And that to me was my greatest moment in music, because I knew that she was wonderfully affected by this. And I deal with a lot of tribute bands, and I know that that's so great because it's reminding so many of us of our youth when we were much more innocent and free, and we didn't have all the stress of adulthood. And that was where that tear was coming from. She was having a wonderful memory here of when she was young. And so yeah, that was probably the most magical moment. After that, right after that would be, again with Jefferson Starship, at Central Park in New York City. We had, 30 or 40,000 people out there. Just the venue and the crowd was just a magical memory moment. Yeah.